Hey, this is Julia Rebecca Myron, aka the Messy Meditator, and this is the Messy Meditator podcast, where I'll be getting into the topics of mindfulness, messiness, and life. So let's get into it. Okay, so I want to talk about what Messy Meditator is, what it means, what it's about, all of that. I wanted to create a space where I could offer the things that I've learned, that I've been educated on, that I've experienced, that have helped me so much. And I want to be able to offer that to other people so that it can help other people in the ways that it helped me. I've been going to school to learn how to teach a program called mindfulness-based stress reduction. The program itself is an intensive program, and the teacher training is rather intensive as well. And the path to certification is years long. And I've wanted to teach this program for 15 years because 15 years ago, this program changed my life. And so as I've been going through this teacher training, knowing that I've always wanted to work for myself, I realized that, okay, if I'm going to market this thing that I am going to teach and market myself as a teacher, do I want to use my own name or do I want to have a business name separate from myself? And I kept trying to think of different business names. And, some of them had meaning and some of them kind of clicked in some ways, but nothing felt like, okay, this is it. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll probably just go with my own name because that's never going to change. And then one day I was cleaning out the notes in my phone, lots of old shopping lists and things like that. And I came across a note that just said, the Messy Meditator. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. I didn't know what it was, where it came from, why that was there. I didn't remember anything about it, but I was like, that's it. That was like a full body yes. It just clicked on every level and made so much sense to me. And the more I thought about it, the more I tried to figure out, where did this even come from? I started to get a vague memory of, I think my ex had kind of made fun of me because I'm messy. And, sort of like, oh, how can you really be that mindful if you're this messy? Which even more gave me kind of validation to kind of flip the script and own it. Like, yeah, I'm messy and I'm gonna, use it as an empowering thing instead of feeling bad about myself. And so the Messy Meditator just clicked, and it clicked on so many levels because, for one, I'm messy. I just am. It's something that I've struggled with my whole life. I don't like being messy. I wish I wasn't messy. I try not to be messy, but I just am. And I've learned to accept that about myself. And it's just one of my flaws. I'm good at a lot of things. Being neat and tidy is not one of them. So there's that, real literal meaning that I'm messy and I'm a meditator. But it also has meaning because it goes to show too that just because you're mindful doesn't mean you don't have real life flaws. You can be messy and be mindful. Both things can be true at the same time. But it also had meaning because meditation itself can be messy. Because really, when we sit in meditation and when we start to apply mindfulness to our real lives, we really come into contact with very real human experiences. And being human can be messy. We have all kinds of messy thoughts and emotions and distractions and very human flaws. And, it's just being human is messy. And when we sit in meditation and come into contact with these very messy parts of our humanity, that can feel messy. And so many people, especially newcomers, when they sit down to meditate for the first time or the first few times, they think that they're doing it wrong, or that they think they're doing something wrong. They think they can't do it. Some sort of self-defeating messaging comes in because they come into contact with these messy experiences. And the sort of messaging that you get in the media is that mindfulness equals bliss, calm, tranquility, serenity. And while all those things can be true and do happen at times, what's also true is that sometimes the road to bliss, sometimes the road to tranquility, sometimes the road to peace is fucking messy. And you have to just face these things that come up, and you're going to get distracted, and you're going to have all kinds of thoughts, and the thoughts might be really loud, and you might get frustrated or annoyed or some other quote unquote negative emotion or feeling might come up. And then people think that they're doing it wrong. When the reality is that is the practice. That is meditation. It's becoming aware of these things that are happening and then returning to the breath or whatever your present moment focal point is. And so I love the Messy Meditator because it's to say that, hey, if it feels messy, that's okay. You're not doing it wrong. You're doing it right. You're doing it right if you are becoming aware of these messy things. So it's kind of creates a sense of belonging, of like, it's okay. You can show up messy. In fact, please do. That's real. I don't want some perfect version of you or some perfect facade. I want the real, messy, authentic human. So the Messy Meditator is to take the pressure off of anyone who comes to work with me. That you don't have to be perfect. You can show up messy. But it also takes the pressure off of me. I don't have to be perfect. I can show up messy because I am messy. I'm messy. I'm sitting at a messy desk in a messy room with a messy kitchen. My life isn't really where I want it to be right now. Things feel messy, and that's okay because that's real. And so really it's about creating a sense of belonging for me, for you, for your friends, for your friends' friends. It's about building community around just, it's okay to be messy, showing up messy. And then, I get a cool logo, and the logo looks cool on things. And, there's just a lot you can do with it marketing wise. But, building a community of messy meditators instead of trying to enforce this idea that you have to be a blissed out Buddha. That's not real life. It's great if you want to go live in a monastery and not have to deal with the real world and real world shit. Cool. Like some people, that's what they need and that's their life path. Maybe they've dealt with too much trauma in the real world and they just need to live in a monastery for the rest of their lives. Cool. And, we do need some of that in the world too. But for the rest of us who have real lives, who can't disappear into a monastery for the rest of their lives, how can we deal with our lives? How can we navigate the messiness of our lives? And we do that by starting where we are and starting how we are. Mindfulness and meditation is something that people tend to show up as a beginner and expect mastery of themselves. If they're not able to let go of all of their thoughts, and they must be doing it wrong, when that's just not possible. The mind was designed for thinking. We're always going to have thoughts. They're always going to be there. It's just, are we believing our thoughts? Are we believing the stories and the narratives and the dramas? Because the more we buy into those stories, the more stressed, anxious, confused, unhappy, distraught we will be. But if we can just take a moment to pause and feel our feet touching the ground, feel the breath moving through our bodies. For just a moment, we're not stuck in those thoughts. We're in what's really happening in the moment. And the more that we can practice that, it can be life-changing. So that's a little bit about the Messy Meditator, what it is, what I'm here for, what I hope to do. And I hope you'll join me, and I hope you'll come along for the ride to see where this takes all of us. I'm Julia Rebecca Myron, and I'm a Messy Meditator. Thanks for being here. Ciao.